Just like every Friday, we see big news from the injury reports. Rhamondre Stevenson is out for Week 6, which means Antonio Gibson is up as the next man in that backfield to get carries. We're going to talk about whether or not you need him for fantasy football, how to strategize around him. We're going to look at the advanced analytics and everything else. But before we dig in, you need to click that subscribe button right now, because when news breaks, we're going to come at you with a unique video to see whether or not you need the player. We're doing deep dives on these players every day. We're talking about the waiver wire extensively. We talked about Antonio Gibson all year long off the waiver wire, deeper than any other YouTube channel. And then on top of that, we're using these videos to help you set your lineups. Click that button, stop missing out. Ric Flair's watching, don't disappoint him. But this is very interesting because Rhamondre Stevenson is out, and we've been saying this the whole time, that if he ever comes out, Antonio Gibson is going to see a large workload. Should see a majority of the opportunities, and Antonio Gibson's being used in the passing game. He's getting some run up the gut. He's actually had some games here where he has been fantasy viable. We're looking at 16 fantasy points in Week 2, 11 in Week 4, 13 in Week 5, so we are getting some volume here. And the work in the passing game is really elevating his floor. But we're looking at what he's doing in fantasy right now. Not too grandiose, RB3-ish week to week, but still, as an RB1B or RB2 in the backfield here, it's all right. It's all right. And he's got 4.3 speed. That's what he had coming out of college. Might be reduced now because he is older. But we got that burst. Former wide receiver turned running back. Good in the passing game. Electric in space. And he's just a different type of running back compared to Rhamondre Stevenson, and gives this team some upside out of backfield. Rhamondre Stevenson was getting a lot of work, though, especially starting the season. They were trying to pound it with him. They're still trying to pound it with him, but he has not been as efficient, especially he's suffered some fumbleitis. That has been hurting him a lot this season. The coaching staff starting to lose some trust. They were talking about Antonio Gibson getting more work. Well, now he has to get more work by default. They're saying this injury may not be for a long time, but Week 6 might be a good time for us. Rhamondre Stevenson seeing 37 snaps per game versus Antonio Gibson's 19.8. Pretty much 20 snaps per game. That snap share is going up. Look for Antonio Gibson to be pushing 40 snaps this week, or at least getting a 60 to 70% snap share. With JaMycal Hasty working up the snap share rankings for the team. But we're also looking at targets and routes here. When looking at him in the passing game, Antonio Gibson's running 7.8 routes per game, but he's only running about 20 snaps per game total, and a 22.7% route participation rate on a team that's not really super pass heavy is actually pretty good. And when he's out on the field, he's being used in the passing game. He has 9 targets on the season with a lot less snaps than Rhamondre Stevenson. He's getting a lot of work in the passing game, a 30.1% opportunity share, which is very good as a 1B back. And there's just moments where he's just getting more work, especially in the passing game. That being said, if they're behind, he's still going to be out there. He's still going to be seeing opportunity. But we're playing the Texans this week. There's a lot of things to look at here. The Texans are 7% less than league average when allowing fantasy points to running backs over the last 3, 18.4% less over the last 5 games total on the season. We've seen some running backs hit on them. Aaron Jones, the only running back to hit 100 yards against them, also got 25.8 PPR fantasy points, caught 5 balls on them. And then we also got James Cook, 82 rushing yards, but on 20 carries, also catching some balls out of the backfield as well. DeAndre Swift saw 5 targets against them, but only racked up 8.2 PPR fantasy points. Jonathan Taylor, only 10 fantasy points against them as well. This could be a rough outing because there's a lot of unknown with this matchup. It's very ambiguous due to this man right here. This man right here will set the tone. If he goes off, if he connects with those wide receivers and we're moving the chains, then Antonio Gibson's going to look good. If we're playing from behind and he's like, yeah, I'm not targeting any running backs today, we're going YOLO downfield, Antonio Gibson's not looking so good. But if he's targeting flat, looking at Antonio Gibson, looking at him in space, and man, this guy runs a 4.3. This guy can eat up space in chunks. It's all on this guy. It's all on this guy. We don't know. We don't know his tendencies. We have a very small sample. We can go look at college. But again, we got way different personnel right now compared to what they have right now in the Patriots. The Patriots game plan versus everything else. The game script, we don't have Nico Collins in this matchup. So can the Texans push the pace against a rather stout defense So can they do that? More likely they could with Joe Mixon back. That being said, this game's going to be rather interesting because we got a lot of changes, a lot of variables that will impact this game, especially this man right here, Drake May. Drake May is a good quarterback prospect with a lot of upside. I would not be surprised if he wants to stand tall in the pocket and push it downfield. Antonio Gibson's going to be out there. He's going to be out there running routes. He's going to be getting opportunities. Whether they got the lead or not, you know Gibson's going to be out there. But the thing about Antonio Gibson, I know he's going to get a lot of opportunities, and that's going to be more than what it would be for just Rhamondre Stevenson and him together. So I would rank them ahead of Rhamondre Stevenson compared to what 4for4 had because it's just him alone. Jamarco Hasty is going to be there, but pretty much it's just him alone. He's going to be getting a lot of targets, and I think it's like a push with like the Rashad White. I would rather have him over Tajay Spears. I think he has better upside than Alexander Mattison due to the speed, and plus the Steelers' defense is no joke. Him versus Trey Sermon, that's a good push. He does have more upside with the speed, but you don't know what's going to be up with Drake May. Drake May might be better than Anthony Richardson when it comes to spraying the ball around to his teammates. That's something to look at. Brian Robinson's dealing with an injury, so he's around the 25 range in the rankings. He's a guy to pick up. You do not want your opponent to pick him up because he's going to be getting opportunities. That being said, even in a rough matchup, even with him not being like a start for you or somebody else, for a running back that might get 20 opportunities in this game, all he has to do is break loose one time, cross the goal line one time, and next thing you know, you might be hurting, or a team in your league uses them, and they win their matchup. They rise the standings a little bit. Now you got to face that tougher team in the playoffs or something like that. You may want to just pick him up so nobody else can pick him up and get those touches, get that workload at least. He's at least going to get workload. That is my prediction. He's going to get work. He's going to run more snaps. Even if they're trailing, he's going to be running routes. Whether or not he gets the targets, that's up to Drake May. Ask him. But he's going to be running more routes, getting more opportunities. You don't need him. You're good at running back. You're stashed. You want to keep your stashes. You don't want to drop anybody. You may not be able to drop anybody for a 1-week dandy, 2-week dandy type of deal. However, you need touches. If you want the touches now, even though they're not 100% certain what they will lead to, go after it. Go get them, put them in. Kind of like Trey Sermon last week and Cam Akers a few weeks before, that you're just picking up for the touches to see what happens, because this is not an advantageous situation. It's a very unknown situation. It's very ambiguous. However, the touches are going to be there. The snaps are going to be there. The routes are going to be there. Can they lead to fantasy points? If you want an off-cuff projection, probably 10 range, fantasy point-wise, 12 range. Really depends if we can get to the end zone and if Drake May targets him in the passing game. Because some quarterbacks, you'll notice, likes to push it downfield, will not go underneath, even though the underneath is open. So that is a big question. And can Drake May keep the chains moving? Because if we're 3 and out, next thing you know, middle of the third quarter, is baked. It's done. It ain't happening. That being said, it's very ambiguous, but touches are touches, and if you need touches, here are touches. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Make sure to hit that subscribe button on the way out. One thing for watching. Catch you on the next video.